Well, hey boys, it's me, Joe Biden's masseuse here. How are you? It's good to see you. Now, it's been a little minute since I've put out a video because I've been pumping ladder and I've been busy with work, mate, and I'm sorry. I apologize. So I wanted to cover how I've been doing, where my kind of ladder bow Enchantress is going, and yeah, show you a couple of things and what I'm working with. So, if you're not already aware, if you haven't seen my live streams, this season I'm playing my favorite build that has been buffed to the tits, boys. That is the Enchantress Demon Machine, or, well, the bow Enchantress, right? The Bowasork, if you will. Demon Machine is one of the, pretty much the best in slot so far that I have tested, but I'm hoping later this ladder I can get my hands on a brand, and I can get my hands on trying to actually min-max this and find out what that perfect setup is going to be. Obviously it is going to change depending on where you're farming. It's exactly one thing I want to show you guys today, because I have quite a few variants in gear that I switch out if I'm playing with the boys and whatnot, right? So let's get into it. How am I doing? My little character is Cucumber. Don't ask me why. Level 89 Sorceress, not too bad. Hopefully I can get 93 in the next coming weeks, so then I can, try and craft some caster amulets, because I am saving up all my crafting materials, as you can see. My amethyst there, so, hope you boys are doing the same. Hey? Don't mind the res, shut up. My attack's doing okay. I've got strength is enough, dexterity is enough to wear my demon crossbow, because that's the highest dex that I have for a piece of required gear. Vitality, I like putting a comfortable amount in here, so I have 130 at the moment. And my energy shield is not too bad. I've got a decent chunk in energy to help work with that, right? Over to advanced stats, just to have a squiz, but I'll cover gear anyway. You know what? I don't care. Let's move over to skills. So I've got 1 into Frozen Armor, I have 1 into Frost Nova, which helps so much, boys, on your playthrough. If some of you boys are going to be playing Bowasorks, I highly recommend always putting 1 point into Frost Nova. And I'll show you exactly why. Exactly like that. You can stop them from closing in on you, find that range, teleport back. I know you can just teleport away all the time, but sometimes you're quite close, you want to be close to pick up the loot before the other boys. So trust me, it's very good. Other skills. Lightning spells is what you'd expect, boys. So I've got, 1 point wonders all the way down through. 1 into static. I'd like to get this higher potentially when I respec, because it's nice being a ranged caster and having a wider range of static. But I'm happy with it as this at the moment. My energy shield, as you can see, is high enough where I feel like I'm comfortable teleporting in and staticking within that smaller 4 yards that I have. So that's okay. On switch, I have my memory staff, I'll show in a second, so my energy shield gets up to 76% with my telekinesis at base 14, so, not bad, boys, eh? Fire spells, which we all want to see. So, I've got Warmth, Enchant, and then Fire Mastery is obviously maxed out. So this beast is double dipping now. Enchant is double dipping appropriately with Fire Mastery with our ranged. So we're doing big boy damage. I've also put 1 point wonders down here to benefit from Firewall getting all the warmth synergies, which I don't use too often, but it does actually help in some cases when rushing through. Perhaps I die in a terror zone, and I still feel I can do some damage and kill a few mobs if I'm playing solo without my gear just to get to my corpse. So I might end up spicking out of it, but I've found it kind of handy, and I feel like it's worth just 3 lousy points over here. Not too bad, as you can see, just over 4k, right? So let's have a look at the gear though, because that's kind of important. So I have my Demon Machine as my main damage delivery, alright? So I need at least a Shale for 20 IES or a Duel with 15 IES and whatever other mods, right? Because I need 15 minimum to get this to max attacks per second, which is 2.27, right? So even if this is socketed with a facet, it would just mean that I need some source of gloves to give me 20 IES to cover that, if that makes sense, right? So that's something to think about. For my helm, I have this sucker, which I got one of the boys to socket for me. Rushed him through and got me a socket quest, so shout out to Lex on the Discord. I got 2 sockets in my +3 to fire skills, so this is going to stay as my, I guess, my makeshift Shaco, as well as my flickering flame for now. So that is exactly what I'm saving for. I need to get a Vex, so I can get a flickering flame here, and then I can just switch this out for magic finding areas, if I need more magic find. Alternatively, I can keep this and resocket it with some resistances depending where I'm farming. So yeah, that's one thing to remember. If you're building this, it's kind of difficult to pack up all the res. So we'll get to that later, hey? I've got +3 to fire skills on an amulet. I don't have too much in regards to amulets. I do need to look for more +3 fire skills. Even a rising sun with +2 would be good. But as I mentioned earlier, I'm saving up all of these to craft some caster amulets when I get to 93. And for the amount of you that are not too sure why I say 93, 93 means is when you gamble, right? When you gamble, you have a chance for, let's go to gamble. Here we go. There is a hidden level, an item level of an item that you gamble. It always is within a range of 3. So if you gamble at level 93, that 100% assures you that even the lowest eye level is going to be minimum level 90 for the hidden eye level, which means it has a chance to be casted into a +2 to class skill level. So that's why that's important. You hear other, content creators say that around the place. So over to gear, I have a few options depending what I'm doing. I have a stealth to help me rush through to hit faster cast rate breakpoints. I have my beautiful, my magic fine dust shroud with some flawless because I'm that cheap. Okay, boys, I know, shut up. I have my smoke if I feel like I need more resistances for certain tier zone high player count areas with the boys. Quite handy. I can also swap that intermittently with the mercenary, and I do have my Duriel's shell as well. That is also an option. One thing I use majority of the time is enlightenment. So on first day I found a limb rune, traded it with one of the boys for a pole rune so he can make a treachery and I can make this fucker here. This enlightenment is very underrated for an enchant source and I would highly recommend it. +2 to Sork skills across the board. Remember, wearing this, it doesn't just buff up your enchant, but remember that when you're switching, it increases your fire mastery while you are playing as well. So if I enchant with it on, right, I'm at 9k, but if I take it off, it's down to 87. So you're still getting benefit from the plus skills actually on your character. There's one of the boys is in my game right now. So let's continue. I am recording. He's all good. So that's why I like having this. Also, by the off chance you get hit, boys, you get level 15 Blaze when struck, and if we look over at the skills, Warmth is a synergy for Blaze. So if you get hit, you get level 15 Blaze, max synergies, max fire mastery. So you can run around with high run walk speed, and you do a decent amount of damage with your Blaze. At level 12 here, it's at 1800, so it's over 2k damage per second with your Blaze if you get struck. It's kind of funny. And you've also got your Fireball, which procs out too when you're shooting. +1 to Warmth adds on, and 30 fire res. So I cannot stress enough how awesome this plate is. Moving on though, I have a Ravenfrost, which is very valuable for obviously the cannot be frozen. I have my Razor Tail, paired with Demon Machine, gives me 99% pierce. Now, you may be wondering, do I really need that much pierce? Well, it depends on where you're farming and what else you can actually meet with your gear. So I plan on making a future video kind of breaking down budget gear depending on where you're farming, but for what I have now, if I'm farming cows in higher density areas, more pierce goes further to increase clearing speed. So if I'm doing just tier zones, hunting smaller elite packs in different diverse density areas, you don't necessarily need the Razor Tail. So in places I might switch out to give myself more resistances, or in this case an option could be something like an Arax to give you another plus skill, and also that FCR is quite valuable in that belt slot. So one thing I'm tempted to do is to, spend some amethysts and make some caster amulets maybe, But on the topic of FCR, we've got a Mage Fist here which is helping significantly, and then alongside one other ring slot which I can put FCR here too. So at the moment I have my rings. So I'm struggling to find gear in some little separate spots to fill in, but we're doing okay for the time being. I do have some Sandstorm tricks to help, help with poison res, help with poison res. How many times do I have to repeat myself? Pretty good, honestly. Pretty good. Depending on certain TZs, I like to switch out, not the Bulwark, but the Cure on my Mercenary, which helps so much to mitigate poison damage. because my resistances, as you can see, are kind of shit depending on my setup. So that's kind of what I do. Gives you an idea. I know it's pretty messy. It's not super min-max, but you know, I'm really enjoying it, trying to build through, you know? So I've got other things to switch out here, like our hot spurs for fire res, MF boots with fire res too. So yeah, not too bad, boys. But one person who's always been with me through the thick and thin is good old Gwynny. Let's have a look at Gwynny up in the top right. She is beautiful. She's an angel of a woman, and I'll show you exactly why. She has two options of weapons, firstly, to run through. If I'm rushing through, doing faster runs, if I feel like I need the mana for my teleport, then I have Insight in an Ashwood bow. Now, the reason why it hits on a lower base is that's just what I found, but ideally a matriarchal bow would be best. What we're after is not only a high level rolled meditation at up to 17 on the Insight, but +3 to bow and crossbow skills, because that benefits on the Mercenary, increases her exploding arrow, which is valuable as ballsack, right? Gives her so much more fire damage. Recently, I made a treachery, so I replaced my hustle because this gives a lot more protection with the fade, the resistances, the damage reduction, as well as a bit of hit recovery and all of that, right? So this helps with higher TZ player count, gives you more survivability, which is great. Although the Aquan Rogue, I would say, is pretty damn good at keeping her distance, particularly when you're using Frost Nova for crowd control and teleporting quite a bit back. You know, you might argue that you don't need the fade, but I find it when it does proc, it is definitely worth having. So I'm going to keep this here for a while. Now for the helms, I have a few options too. So with another bow, we'll go over the alternative for the bow, which I have is this sucker here. So when I am doing cows and higher density areas, I want to put on a Kuko. So ideally I'll have this upped eventually. 179 ED is 1% off perfect, so 180 is the best, but you've got high plus skills, added fire damage, which adds directly on, 3 to bow skills, right? So that's going to be adding exploding arrow, and every shot in between fire and exploding arrow, the basic attacks, is going to be explosive as well, and transfer all of that enchant damage directly across, which is superb. So having that 50% pierce while she's shooting through, you can teleport and shoot like a goddamn machine gun, boys, and I'm going to show you in a second when we go through cows, right? Now, for the helm, it really depends on which situation I'm farming. So I've got Cure, which gives cleansing. I'll usually put this on in conjunction with my Sandstorm treks to help farm other places, such as Ancient Tunnels, usually has ghouls and things to poison, and even Stony Tomb, right? So that gives you an example. So, but I like to change in between. If I have like an easy place to farm, I might swap on some more Magic Find like so. Or if, let's say, I'm just doing some simple cow runs, which we're going to do, I can put on maybe a Bulwark for some, you know, just some strength, or I could just give her plus skills. So the best plus skills that I have for now to increase her damage would be this one. So just +1 to lore. I know it's not the best, but you know, the functionality is pretty much the same, right? So let's chuck this bow somewhere in here, and there we go. So that's about the gear. One thing I did want to share before we hop in the cow level, boys, is I did find the most ridiculous staff I've ever found in my entire life. Where is it? Here we go. Let's have a look at this. I was going to make a video several days ago, right? But I didn't really have any drops I wanted to show you. I've just been grinding, getting a few odd things here and there, and I happened to find this base with 2 chilling armor, 2 energy shield, 1 thunderstorm. So the reason why they are so valuable for a sorceress is because it saves you points in all of those areas. You can save a point in frozen armor, you get given 1 to chilling armor. Lightning, you get given thunderstorm, you don't have to spend the points down here, right? Not even Nova, you get the thunderstorm. And then what's the third one? Energy shield. It just buffs up your energy shield for 2. So I rolled it, I happened to get 5 sockets, and I made it into a fucking CTA because I happened to find an Om room 2 hours after I found it. So I'm trying my best to trade this off to get some type of value so that, yeah, hopefully I can get something to kickstart even further. I just really wanted to show you that because I was freaking out off stream. Not last night, but the night before. So, yeah. But let's hop over Kuko. Yes, we have Kuko on. Let's go over to Stony. I'll chuck a timestamp down below so you boys can skip through and check. But let's enchant up now and have a look at my damage and whatnot. So switching back, I'm sitting at just over 9k. I can get a couple more plus skills, but I'm happy with what I got here. So let's go over and find the leg. Hey boys. There we go. And even with our Fire Thunder, we still do a decent amount of damage breaking immunities, you know? Like, I thought I would have a tougher time. Like, all of these boys, still resistant to fire. But I can still kill them, and I don't feel like I'm super reliant on infinity for me to actually get anywhere in life, you know? It just makes me more excited for when I do get infinity to test this build even further, you know? Really is crazy. So let's chuck this in. Alright, so we've got 9k enchant. We'll go on the Mercenary. She has 3400, 50% pierce. Treachery makes her attack fucking 5 hits per second. Absolutely brilliant. Let's start off. Couple of elites here. Hopefully they're not fire resistant so I don't look bad. So this is P1, obviously. This is on ladder if you haven't picked up already. And this is the only build that I'm playing at the moment. We'll play it as long as I don't get burnt out. That's the plan. Hopefully I can find a nice little high rune during this run, because that would be quite exciting, wouldn't it, boys? Let's find another solid pack. Here we go. Piercing right through. Beautiful. Quite beautiful. First ladder day was quite good. I played with a bunch of the boys. We got quite far up to hell mode, which is quite nice. It wasn't until like day 2 or 3 when I started getting kitted out a little more. That's where things started to pop in. Like, I got a couple of Kukos from a few boys that came into the stream, which was awesome. I got Razortail from a friend in game, and just starting to piece it all together, like finding the Lem Rune, trading for the pole, getting enlightenment, you know. Small upgrades is always the most fun part and the most enjoyable part of ladder, you know, because later on stuff loses value. It's so much easier to get. Everyone has an abundance of things, but it's always quite fun how restrictive things are at the start. It makes you really savor all of the small shitty drops that you get that wouldn't be so valuable like later on in the season, right? So it's kind of cool. I'm keen to hear like what you guys got in the first week or so of ladder. I've managed to get like an Rune and that ridiculous War Staff which I showed you. That's about my main drops at the moment. What else did I get? I guess my other big drop was I got a Ravenfrost, which I was pretty stoked about, because I thought that was going to take me weeks to buy that shit, boys. I really did. But not too bad, honestly. Other than that, my main runes would be just like 2 or 3 Marl runes. No, probably just like 2, I would say. One from Countess. But yeah, I mean, I'm just talking for the sake of it now, really. There's not too much to say from gear. I haven't been playing too long. But I just wanted to ramble and show you guys how I'm doing, how this is performing, and yeah, just kind of update you. So I know it's not the most perfect video or breaking down the build even more, but I want to break it down in the future, as I said. So this is my Enchantress. I hope you boys have had a great day. Let me know how you're doing, how your mum's been. Let me know what your thoughts are on Joe Biden. Is he old enough to be doing what he's doing? Do you think that he would be a good Twitch streamer, is the question. I don't know. Leave your thoughts down below. Bye, boys.